The heart of every organization is its people. We're taking action to take care of them, to develop a world-class team, now and into the future. This is Empowering Excellence with Art and Frankie.
All right, welcome back to the next episode of Empowering Excellence. I'm Art Sterrett, your co-host, and today I actually have a special guest co-host, Jen Carney, our Deputy Director of Corporate Operations. Jen, how are you doing today?
I am good, thank you. It's a pleasure to be back.
Now, so you're taking Francesca's spot just for today?
Yes, just for today. No one can replace Francesca.
Was there a coup or...
It might have been. While she was out on leave. I may have just rearranged a few schedules.
Very nice. Well, so how's everything going with you?
Living the dream.
How's Wellington doing?
He is getting very large, 52.1 pounds at 7 months of age. So he's getting to be a big boy, learning his commands. We'll see. Hopefully he won't be a pet. He'll actually make it to service dog.
Yes, we don't need him to flunk out.
It's called career change.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Career change. Got it.
Career change. Let's not give him a stigma.
No, we don't want to stigmatize him. He's too young for that.
That's right. He can be whatever he wants, Art.
I'm looking forward to see what he becomes.
So am I.
Today, in our series of Empowering Excellence, we are going to have a bit of a unique topic. We've been very focused on the human resources aspect of it and employee engagement. But today we're going to talk about small business.
Yes, exciting.
As I was prepping for today, I read that 99% plus of all businesses in the United States are small businesses.
Wow.
Did you know that?
No, I did not.
This weekend, did you patronize any small businesses, Jen?
Absolutely. Those are taco shops and some other little stores, Carlsbad area.
Yeah, and so along with that, so 99% of businesses are small, and almost half of all employees in the United States are employed by a small business. So it's a really important part of the economy.
Yes, absolutely. I think we have to look at what defines that small business, though.
Now, what is a small business anyway? Do you know?
You know what? I probably should talk to our expert.
You think so?
I think so.
Do you want to do the introductions?
I think we should. To help us with small business and getting a better understanding of it and kind of demystifying, we brought in an expert, formerly from Contracts, Kim Reidy. So she is our director of NAVWAR's Office of Small Business Programs, and she will be here to kind of help us understand really what is a small business, how can we at NAVWAR use more of the small business and, points of contact, all that stuff to make it a little bit more knowledgeable.
Welcome, Kim, first of all. It's great to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get this small business gig anyway?
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So I've been in operational contracts for my whole career since about 1992, I believe. I started at NAVC, came out to SPAWAR shortly after it bracked, spent some time at Nello, and then I'm back here at NAVWAR, all in the Contracts as 1102 series. The small business director opened up. That office had Caleb Foster, if you know him. He was running the whole department by himself for almost a year. So I knew that director's position was open, and I was really excited about maybe making that career change because of the calling of the small business mission. It is to ensure that we do more to include small businesses for economy purposes, as well as right now it's more important than ever because the defense industrial base is reducing. It's been reduced by almost 40%. And it's a national security issue to ensure that we're bringing new entrants in, specifically small business, because they really bring a lot of innovation, and it's helping our economy at the same time it's helping our mission. So I was just excited to bring my knowledge from the contracting shop and the acquisition department into the small business program so I can roll up my sleeves and figure out how we can make sure we're maximizing small business participation. We realize we have a lot of work to do. NAVWAR has a lot of work to do, and it's a team sport. So it's all about getting this word out. So I thank you so much for inviting me on so we can get the word out to our requirements offices to think small business first and how we can help them do that.
What defines a small business?
SBA defines what a small business is, but most importantly, what I'd like to tell everyone is it's according to NAICS code. So it's really important that you pick an appropriate NAICS code for whatever you're wanting to buy. Then you can call us for one, and we'll help you pick that NAICS along with your PCO and talk about the market for that NAICS. If you want to independently look and see what the standards are for that NAICS, you can go to the SBA site. That's also on our SharePoint site. And it's all depends on the NAICS, whether it's small or not. You could be a small business for one NAICS, but not another NAICS. The SBA can determine two different ways whether a company is a small business according to a NAICS, and that is either by annual receipts or by number of employees, and that just depends on the NAICS.
When we look at the NAVWAR workforce made up of military, civilian, and a very important component of that is our contractor workforce. When I was looking at that data, getting ready for the podcast today, and I saw how dependent the U.S. economy is on small businesses, and then your comments about the defense industrial base and how important it is. Talk about that a little bit more. Why is small business in particular so important?
It's important because it's the backbone of our economy, and it is really where the innovation happens. So it's important that we give them the opportunities, because it's hard for them to compete otherwise against the large businesses. To get entered into doing business with not just NAVWAR, but the federal government, we need to afford them some of the set-aside status and the sole source opportunities that we're able to through the small business programs. There are 4 socioeconomic programs that our targets are measured against, as well as our overall small business. Those socioeconomic categories really look at, disadvantaged businesses, both economically and socially. So that's where we can, through these programs, really give them a leg up in getting into working on our requirements so that they can build their business and become more valuable, contributing to our mission.
So when you talk about those small business categories, which ones do we participate in at NAVWAR?
SDBs, small disadvantaged business. Then there's service disabled veteran owned. There's also women owned, and there's hub zone. So those are the 4 categories. And there's lots of programs that work against those, including 8As, and then we've got the SIPR program as well.
Oh, that's great. And who sets those goals when we're talking about our metrics against them? Where do those metrics come from?
The federal government, they're set at the federal government level. The federal government then negotiates with all of the different components, including DOD. Then the DOD hands the goals down to DON, and DON negotiates it with us, NAVWAR, and the other 12 buying commands. Our goals are set each year. They're usually based on prior 3 years' historicals. SecNav is really focusing on the target, more focused than ever on ensuring that we're not just meeting the targets, but we're exceeding those targets. And he's raising the bar. Next year, percentage for small disadvantaged business will be increased from 12% to 15% overall. We can't slow down. Even if we do meet or exceed our targets this year, we just have to continue to push to remember when our requirements officers are setting those new requirements, getting ready for contracts, to consider how small businesses can help the mission.
Yeah, I think we should talk about that, because I know there's some cases where we do have small businesses, say like on Seaport or some of the other ones, but it's awarded to the prime, contractor, and the prime is large, but the subs are small, so we don't get credit for the subs, correct? We only get credit for the prime?
That is true. The targets are prime dollars obligated, so we don't get credit for subbing out, but it's still really important. Because those subs of today become primes of tomorrow. That's how, we have a DOD has a mentor protege program where large businesses can mentor new entrants and small businesses. So show them the ropes, per se, to how to do business, because there's a lot to doing business with the government. It's often very, very difficult. Even though we don't get credit, it's not really all about the targets. It's really about growing our small business base. Subcontracting opportunities are still really important, and the primes get rated on their commitment documents and CPARs as well.
Okay. And so what would be your first step for, say, a program office or someone like myself in corporate operations? We're going to, talk about this new furniture contract or something that's going to come out there. What should be our first step?
The first step is to make sure that you're talking to your contracting officer as well as the small business office as early as possible. get us involved so that we can understand your requirement and assist in doing the market research that's required to see if you've disaggregated your requirement enough so that small businesses can participate. And then if you've done the market research, to ensure that we're really reaching out and ensuring that if 2 or more small businesses could perform, we're going to set it aside to give them that leg up that I talked about to allow them to become an entrant.
I know in the past when I was a program manager in a former life, we would have a prime contractor supporting us that was a small business, and then we would go to recompete the contract, and they're like, oop, you're not a small business anymore. So I guess either financially or employee-wise, they grew themselves out of being a small business.
That is a scary time for small businesses because there is something that a lot of people coin the valley of death. So after a small business graduates and they no longer are afforded those programs to give them the set-asides that help them compete, it is a difficult time for them. We're calling them middle tier. Actually, there's going to be a roundtable in conjunction with Gold Coast this year to have some of our middle tier companies come in with Secretary of the Navy's office to talk about how we can help and make sure that they are thriving and exceeding even after they graduate the programs.
That's great.
Gold Coast. What is Gold Coast?
Gold Coast is the Navy's premier conference for small businesses, and it is here in San Diego the last week of July. We've also coordinating with PEOC4I, a NAVWAR PEOC4I Small Business Fair. So that'll be that last Tuesday in July, July 25th. It'll be here on campus where our small business community gets to come in and meet with our DPMs and requirements offices to learn more about how they can help, and PEOC4I folks can learn about the capabilities of those small businesses so they're aware of, who's out there and what their market is like. It's a free exchange of information that our small businesses find very valuable. After our small business fair here, Wednesday through Friday, is the Gold Coast, and it is downtown San Diego, and that is where many of the Navy small business community meets, along with large businesses too, so that they can pair up and maybe sub with other primes or meet mentors. So I hope and I encourage everyone to come out. There's a matchmaking opportunity at Gold Coast as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That is really great.
Tell us more about the matchmaking thing. That's not like a dating thing, is it?
Kind of, for small businesses. Yeah, so if you go onto the Gold Coast website, if you're a technical person and you have the time during that week to attend a table for an hour or two, small businesses can connect with you to learn about what you're buying, and then you in exchange will learn about the capabilities of those small businesses.
That's great. Other than Gold Coast, what other ways do you think the small businesses can stay connected or find out for opportunities that NAVWAR has? Because we get a lot of, calls, or sometimes there's always something out there that someone says, I can do this, but then I may not have the contract available, or I may not have something out there. But what's a good way for the small businesses, in case they're listening, on this, for them to be able to kind of keep their name in the running, if you will, or get more publicity?
There's a few ways. Thanks for asking. The first is the long-range acquisition estimate. NAVWAR and all the Navy commands are required to post an LRAY, is what we call it, twice a year. We just updated our LRAY last week. And because of AMS, that's our acquisition management system, this is the first time we've ever done it automated through that system, which has all of our requirements from inception. So
I remember doing that data call.
Yes.
I just participated in it.
Thank you. C4I, MLB, and Digital all were to put their requirements in and look out as far as 5 years. And so when we do the LRAY, it pulls an automated spreadsheet that shows small businesses what's coming up, when they would expect to see an RFP hit the street or a contract award. And that's really important so that they can plan and resource for those things and they understand what's coming out. They can also use the e-commerce site, which feeds directly to sam.gov, which is the official site. But the e-commerce site here at NAVWAR tells all of the upcoming market researches. That's really important because through that market research, we need our small businesses to respond. That's how we determine officially if there are 2 or more small businesses, so we can set it aside or potentially do a directed procurement to a small business. My message would be to check that e-commerce site and please, please, please make sure you're responding to the market research appropriately so we can use that data to set aside procurements for small businesses. The other thing they can do is call me or Caleb Foster or Brody Hidell. Those are the 3 folks on our team so that we can walk them through all of these things and how they can more easily do business with NAVWAR. We can maybe connect them to the right program offices that fit their capabilities. They also provide us capability statements so that if I'm talking to a DPM, I might have just some more information with them about their market.
What else would you like the NAVWAR workforce or anybody else listening to know about our small business programs and how we can improve?
It's really important that you consider small businesses more now than ever. It's just critical to our mission and the defense industrial base. And I ask that you help us because it is a team effort. Please bring my team in early when you're forming your acquisition plans. Let us help form the market research, work with the contracting shop to help you in whatever questions you have. Just bring us in as early as possible so we can, hold your hand and walk you through how you might be able to do that better.
No, that's great. That's what I was going to ask. What's our next step? But it sounds like once we get this posted, next steps are already listed. Call Kim.
Call me.
Small businesses are really important to the Secretary of the Navy. Has he sent any messages out to the Navy workforce to talk about how important it is?
He has. He's been putting forth a lot of messaging. One in particular I'd like everyone to know about is the memo that he put out on April 12th. And in that memo, he asked us to name all of the buying commands to name a small business champion. NAVWAR's small business champion is now Mr. Rich Cassis, who's the director of 4.0. And he is small business champion, which will oversee to ensure that we are all disaggregating the requirements to the maximum extent practicable for small businesses. And that was in the letter too. This is nothing new. We were always required in FAR Part 7 when we are developing our requirements to ensure that the requirements are put together in a way that maximizes small business opportunities. So in other words, instead of aggregating or bundling, we're to do the opposite, to make sure that we're breaking off anything that is low risk enough to break off and give small businesses that opportunity. So we're going to be looking at this new term. Isn't really a new thing. It's just a new term. He's asked us to ensure that we are disaggregating any contracts that maybe are too large or maybe have a small business player that does a lot of the meaningful work as a sub and that could probably prime it. So we really need to take a look at those requirements and do a disaggregation review. And the small business team needs to make sure that that was done and that we agree with it. Mr. Cassis can step in if he needs to step in to make sure that we have done that. And so that's all something, a new term that you're probably going to be hearing from me, but it's just another reason to please bring us in early so that we can talk that through.
We're going to do that in 8.0. We're looking at some of our contracts that we currently have, especially over in our facilities area, and see what can we, break out that small business can provide. We're going to be setting up a meeting with you in your office, our PCO and anyone else that needs to be part of that. But that's what we're looking at to do as well. So
Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you about it. That's awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
So the podcast word of the day is officially now disaggregation.
Art earlier asked if I supported small business, and I do, again, through those taco shops, so you're welcome. How about you?
Well, I don't know if it qualifies as a small business or not, Jen. I had lunch yesterday at the Ballast Point Brewery.
It once was.
Yeah, they got bought out for $1 billion a couple of years ago, so I doubt they're small anymore.
It was
but
not that valley.
I thought I was doing my part.
Well, how about you, Kim?
I support small business every single day here at NAVWAR, but also at home as well.
Yes.
Of course, and I agree with you, the taco shops are my favorite way to do that.
Go small business.
Well, Kim, really, really appreciate you being here today.
And the small businesses appreciate you, so thank you.
Thank you for inviting me so I can get this message out. Really appreciate it.
NAVWAR workforce, acquisition is our business. We need to help out the backbone of the American economy. And we need that diversity of innovation and research and development and acquisition that our small businesses provide to us. So really, really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Empowering Excellence with Art and Frankie is a production of the NAVWAR Headquarters Public Affairs Office in association with NAVWAR Corporate Operations. Our podcast production team includes Ed Disco Buckleton, Kara McDermott, and Ramon Go, our digital media specialist who produced today's show. On behalf of Frankie and myself, I am Art Sterrett. Have a great Navy day.